Hailee Steinfeld had just wrapped a casual afternoon stroll through a sun-dappled urban park, the soft chatter of nearby picnickers and the occasional bark of a dog blending into a soundtrack of mundane normalcy, when her eyes caught something utterly out of place. An intricately carved pyramid, about the size of a large speaker, nestled between the roots of an ancient oak tree, glowing faintly with an otherworldly iridescence that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat, drawn by a mixture of curiosity and an inexplicable pull she couldn't quite explain. Hailee crouched down, her phone already in hand, fingers instinctively ready to go live on Instagram, driven by her adventurous spirit that thrived on authenticity and the thrill of the unexpected. The moment her hand brushed the pyramid's surface, a voice echoed not just in the air but directly inside her mind, calm, commanding, yet imbued with a warmth that was at once comforting and terrifying. It claimed to be God, a sentient entity beyond human comprehension, and Hailee's heart raced with a cocktail of shock, awe, and skepticism as her pulse quickened and a cold sweat broke out on her brow. Her usually grounded nature wrestled with the impossible truth unfolding before her, the world around her seeming to quiet into a surreal stillness as birds paused mid-flight and a gentle breeze whispered through the leaves, as if the very fabric of reality was holding its breath. As she switched her phone to live, her voice steady but edged with disbelief, she spoke to her followers and to herself, grappling with the immensity of the revelation while trying to maintain a sense of control. Bold yet vulnerable, Hailee's essence shone through. A daring seeker unafraid to confront the unknown but painfully aware of the risks. At her side, her best friend and confidant, Ezra, a pragmatic and protective presence with a sharp wit and unwavering loyalty, hovered just out of frame, his skeptical gaze flickering between worry and fascination, grounding her when the weight of what was happening threatened to overwhelm. Around them, the park felt suspended in a strange liminal space, neither wholly calm nor chaotic, but charged with a palpable energy that hinted at deeper mysteries beneath the surface, the air thick with questions that neither Hailee nor Ezra were ready to answer, yet both knew this encounter would irrevocably alter their lives. The pyramid's cryptic promises and the profound questions it posed hung in the air like a tantalizing riddle, setting the stage for an extraordinary journey where faith, reason, and destiny would collide. And as the live stream's viewer count surged, so did the invisible threads of fate weaving them into a story far greater than either had ever imagined. As the initial shock of encountering a talking pyramid claiming divinity faded into a charged, uneasy calm, Hailee and Ezra found themselves at a crossroads, the gravity of their situation settling like a weight on their shoulders and demanding a response beyond mere disbelief. The live stream had ignited a firestorm of global attention, a digital wildfire of awe, fear, skepticism, and obsession that pressed relentlessly against their privacy and sanity, but retreat was no longer an option. Hailee's adventurous spirit, now tempered by the creeping awareness of profound responsibility, urged her to dig deeper into the pyramid's origins and purpose, while Ezra's pragmatic caution insisted on a methodical approach, balancing their impulses with measured investigation. Their first steps were tentative, filled with whispered hypotheses and rapid-fire research sessions scouring ancient texts, mythologies, and obscure scientific theories that might shed light on this inexplicable phenomenon. They returned to the park by night, hoping to catch further signals or clues as the pyramid's glow seemed to pulse with increasing intensity under the moonlight, but each visit unearthed more questions than answers. Enigmatic symbols flickered faintly on the pyramid's surface, messages in a language both alien and eerily familiar, while subtle shifts in time and space around them hinted at deeper, more dangerous forces at play. Emotionally, the burden was crushing. Hailee grappled with the relentless scrutiny of millions watching her every move, their reactions ranging from worship to hostility, and with the swirling doubt about whether this entity was truly divine or a cosmic trickster testing her resolve. Ezra wrestled with the fear that they were meddling with forces beyond comprehension, his skepticism both a shield and a prison, threatening to alienate him from Hailee as she leaned into the mystery with increasing faith and boldness. Into their tangled journey stepped a new figure, Dr. Lila Moreno, an enigmatic but brilliant linguist and historian who specialized in ancient symbology and had been following Hailee's live stream with keen interest. Lila brought a cool intellect and a fierce determination that both challenged and complemented Hailee's instinctive boldness, quickly becoming an indispensable ally as they began deciphering the pyramid's cryptic inscriptions and theorizing about its origins, an artifact possibly sentient, tied to a cosmic intelligence beyond human reckoning. But their quest was shadowed by unseen adversaries, secretive organizations, obscure cults, and shadowy government agencies who appeared intent on seizing the pyramid's power for their own inscrutable ends, escalating the stakes and forcing Hailee, Ezra, and Lila into a dangerous game of cat and mouse that blurred lines between ally and enemy. As the mysteries deepened, so too did the emotional stakes. The trio found themselves confronting not just external threats but internal fractures. Trust wavered, fears surfaced, and the cost of their pursuit weighed heavily, threatening to unravel friendships and convictions alike. With every revelation, the world around them seemed to tilt on its axis, the safe familiarity of daily life slipping away into a twilight zone of cosmic intrigue and existential peril, and as they pressed onward, uncertain where the path would lead, one thing was clear. The pyramid's truth was a labyrinthine enigma that would demand sacrifices of heart, mind, and soul. And the question haunting them all was no longer simply what the pyramid was, but what it would make of them in return. In the tense hush that settled over their hidden sanctuary, Hailee, Ezra, and Lila moved with quiet urgency, their every action measured and deliberate as they prepared to confront the force that had loomed over them like a shadow cast by the glowing pyramid, the true nature of which was finally laid bare in whispered fragments of revelation. The pyramid was not simply a sentient relic but a vessel of an ancient cosmic intelligence, one that had woven itself into the very fabric of existence, demanding reverence and obedience while exerting a subtle, corrosive influence that threatened to unravel the free will of those who dared engage with it. This entity, which they now called the Architect, was as inscrutable as it was powerful, able to manipulate perception, bend reality, and infiltrate the minds of the vulnerable. Yet despite its seeming omnipotence, the Architect bore a profound weakness: its dependence on human belief and collective faith to sustain its influence, a fragile thread that could be severed through unified defiance and the exposure of its true nature. Physically, their preparations were meticulous. Dex's makeshift electromagnetic disruptors were recalibrated under Lila's guidance to target the pyramid's energy signature, designed to destabilize the entity's connection to this plane, while Hailee, relying on her instinctive courage and growing inner resolve, rehearsed the confrontation they anticipated, knowing that the battle would transcend mere technology and strategy, requiring mental fortitude and an unyielding grip on their own identities against the seductive pull of the Architect's illusions. Emotionally, they fortified one another, sharing raw confessions, fears, and hopes in the twilight hours, forging a bond of trust that would be their lifeline when the storm broke. Hailee's vibrant boldness tempered Ezra's skepticism, while Lila's sharp intellect offered a guiding light through the labyrinth of deception. As the city beyond lay oblivious under a blanket of stars, the trio faced a moment of stillness, the calm before the inevitable chaos, where every heartbeat echoed like a drum heralding a final reckoning. They debated their final moves, whether to confront the Architect head-on in the park where the pyramid's power was strongest or to lure it into a constructed trap where its influence could be contained, and ultimately chose a hybrid approach that relied on Lila's deciphered incantations to weaken the entity's grasp while Hailee and Ezra enacted a daring, immersive challenge, confronting the Architect's illusions within a psychic space tethered by Dex's technology. This delicate balance of ancient ritual and modern ingenuity underscored the stakes: the survival of free will, the liberation of countless minds, and the preservation of a reality that could easily slip into endless servitude. As they locked eyes, sharing unspoken promises and steel-forged determination, the tension coiled so tightly it felt like the world itself was poised on the edge of a knife, every choice now a thread that could unravel or weave a new destiny. The night's shadows deepened, the pyramid's glow dimming and pulsing in ominous rhythm, signaling that the final hour was upon them, and with a collective breath, they stepped forward into the breach, where the boundaries between faith and fear, reality and illusion, life and something far more unknowable would collide in a crucible that would forever change them, and the world they thought they knew. As the first pale light of dawn crept over the city skyline, Hailee, Ezra, and Lila stood shoulder to shoulder before the glowing pyramid, its iridescent surface now thrumming with a menacing, almost sentient pulse that seemed to echo their own quickening heartbeats, signaling the beginning of the final, harrowing confrontation with the architect. The cosmic intelligence that had woven illusions and fed on faith to seize control of minds and reality itself, a force that threatened to unravel the very essence of free will and bend existence to its inscrutable will. The battle was unlike anything they had ever faced, a surreal collision of psychic warfare, ancient incantations, and technological disruption, as the pyramid emitted waves of disorienting energy that warped perception, conjured vivid hallucinations of fear and desire, and sought to fracture their unity by exploiting their deepest vulnerabilities. Hailee confronted visions of losing herself, of being consumed by the seductive voice that promised power but demanded surrender. Ezra wrestled with the gnawing doubt that their struggle was futile against such an incomprehensible force, and Lila fought to maintain the fragile thread of logic amid the chaos. Yet it was in the crucible of this psychic maelstrom that the trio's bond, tempered through trials, sacrifice, and unwavering trust, proved their strongest weapon. As the pyramid's glow intensified, threatening to engulf them in a blinding storm of temporal and mental distortion, Hailee made the excruciating choice to sever her connection to the digital world by turning off the live stream, sacrificing the immediate support and witness of millions in order to fully immerse herself in the battle and shield her friends from the architect's manipulative gaze. With Lila's precise incantations anchoring their will and Dex's devices humming with calibrated frequencies, they chipped away at the pyramid's energy, fracturing the entity's hold on their minds, and at the defining moment, a pulse of pure, unfiltered human will, Hailee reached deep into the core of her own identity, drawing strength from the memories and values that defined her beyond the seductive lies, shattering the illusion and forcing the architect into a retreat that flickered and faded like a dying star. Exhausted, battered, but victorious, the aftermath was a sobering silence. The pyramid's glow dimmed to a gentle pulse before going dark, the cosmic menace quelled but leaving scars, emotional, psychological, and spiritual, that would forever mark the survivors. Hailee emerged transformed, no longer just an adventurous spirit but a guardian of a fragile truth that free will is both a gift and a battle. Ezra's skepticism softened into a cautious belief in the inexplicable, his loyalty deepened by the ordeal, while Lila found renewed purpose in decoding the ancient mysteries that tethered humanity to the cosmos. Their victory rippled quietly through the world, unseen but profound, as the timeline steadied and the collective consciousness shifted subtly, awareness of unseen forces seeping into the edges of reality. As they parted ways, the weight of what they had endured settled into a quiet resolve, a promise that the mysteries of existence were vast and eternal, and that courage was the light that would guide them through the darkest unknowns. And so, as this chapter closes, remember that every story, every revelation, is but a doorway to the next adventure. If you've been captivated by this journey through cosmic wonder and human tenacity, don't forget to subscribe for more tales that challenge the boundaries of reality and explore the infinite possibilities of imagination, because the universe is always whispering, and the next great story is waiting just beyond the horizon.